Thank you. It was incredible.
Thank you.
But
Oh, thank you.
mostly I want to know how other people can see it.
Yeah, so as part of the press tour I've been doing, it's rolled out now on Prime and Canopy with a library card, and to buy and rent on Blu-ray through the restaurant, as well as Apple TV. I believe you can buy it there. So it's gained a really nice public life. And if you all enjoyed it, I don't know if any of you all, rate and review movies online, but sites like Internet Movie Database and Letterboxd, for an independent movie like this with a story that, we want to have shared and grow, especially given that the war continues, please tonight take 5 minutes, go write a review. It's great to let people know that it exists because, unfortunately, when the movie came out on Prime around the recent commemoration of the war in February, people were actually kind of slandering the movie, and not for any other reason other than they were not pro-Ukrainian. And that's awful, obviously. So we're always trying to counter that with really positive messages of, the movie has heart and is meant to bring people together. Yes. Yeah, keep them coming. I love it.
I have been to Veselka this past April, and there it was still a line, 15 minutes to wait. It was good to see a busy restaurant, and I noticed a lot of visitors were not Ukrainian. So do they keep any empirical statistics or whatever? How many non-Ukrainians visit the restaurants?
I'll ask him that question. I know that the staff through the years was actually a lot of Polish, actually, going back decades. So it was probably, if you go back to like the 60s, 70s, it may have been like equivalent Polish-Ukrainian, and now it might be a little bit more Ukrainian than Polish. But that's a great question. I would love to, they'll probably know more through their mail orders what the demographics are, but it really is interesting because when I used to go in the late 90s, early 2000s, like the crowd was very different because the East Village in New York was so different back then. And I think now, you get people from all around the world that come in. It's not just the people that live around the corner. It's not just the NYU students. You really are, like, word got out somewhere in the last 20 years and everybody comes. But what you would, experience with the line, I mean, that's just the nature, and it's just such a wonderful thing. They opened, I think it was in the fall, maybe September, they opened up a Williamsburg, Brooklyn Veselka. And it's amazing because it looks just like the one in Manhattan. It's just like a smaller version of it, but aesthetically it's like the same wood, the same chrome, the same stools at the bar in the front. But they put a gigantic commissary kitchen in the back of the Brooklyn one, and it's huge. So it actually can service 9th Street, New York. They have at Grand Central Terminal, they have a restaurant, which is more like a kiosk. And just recently, they started to sell at Madison Square Garden for all the different games. So, word is getting out, and I always say to them, I'm like, you gotta go west. Go to San Francisco, go to Sacramento. Like, that's where you need to be. So, who knows, maybe in the next handful of years, you can, roll out of bed and get Veselka.
Any other,
I see some
we have some more questions.
Yeah.
Hello, Mr. Producer. First of all, thank you so much for the
creating this movie, we, like anybody else, understand the importance of telling the stories that you telling. The question is personal. We know that all the producers have personal rating of all the movies, what they've been creating. So what place this movie taking in your heart and in your personal library? And is it the last movie about Ukraine and Ukrainian story, or should we expect the next one? And if so, when?
Great questions. I love this story. I mean, for me, in general, documentary is so important. When I went to film school, I thought I was gonna, I wanted to be Spielberg or Robert Zemeckis or Hitchcock, and do the next great, like, either suspense thriller or like family adventure story. And that really didn't pan out. I made some scripted movies, but then around 2015 or so, for a few years up to that point, I had been making documentary shorts that you would see as like bonus features on movies. So like on the Wizard of Oz re-release, I think 2010 or 2009, like I had made a documentary for that, and some notable indie movies. And these were shorter, like 15-minute to 40-minute, and I was kind of cutting my teeth on that in the midst of actually producing a scripted movie for Sony Pictures. And while the experience doing the scripted Sony film was great, there was something, I don't know, obviously real about making documentaries. Like you are living through history, and there's only one Veselka, and there's only one Tom and Jason and Dima and Vitaly and their families, and that just resonates with me more now than like sitting down and writing a script to generate what you hope feels like reality. It's like, it seems so backward now that I'm a documentary filmmaker. It's like, no, if you can go film reality, do that. You don't have to sit and write a script and get actors, just go after the real thing, so. And to your other question, I would love to continue to tell stories about Ukraine. Obviously, I'd have to find what the appropriate story would be that resonates with me. This story resonated with me because prior to the pandemic, my dad had had a very severe heart attack and stroke, and he's doing well now all these years later, but it felt like this was an appropriate story to tell, especially as we started kind of the tail end of the pandemic, and I had been given a chance with the pandemic to spend more time with my dad. And so when I started to recognize that this story was about fathers and sons, and family as a whole, but specifically fathers and sons, I really became very passionate about it. But as I joke with everybody at Veselka, and I joke with Jason's daughter, Sophia, I'll say, we can go make the sequel in 30 years when you own the business. And we can tell the story of the business when, a father-daughter story. And I'm joking around, but you never know. At that point, I'll be almost 80 years old, so I don't know if I'll still be making movies.
And you can't hear us, so, all the feedback. And there's also a lot more of us than you could probably see. So there's a lot of us in the back. But anyway,
Great.
So here's another question.
Thank you.
Hi, Michael.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's very special to connect with you, and we have a lot of questions. While I have one about the grown family of the Veselka. So Vitaly's mom and other ladies who joined Veselka, are they still there? How is their English, and how they feel all about to being in New York and to be in Veselka?
It's a great question, thank you. So I'll start with Vitaly's mom. She actually became a citizen, I believe it was last summer. And so she went back to visit her mom in April, I believe. And like the minute she got there were some of the worst attacks that we've had in these, 3.5 years. And so, she's doing what she can to be safe and be with her mom. And the twins, they're in New York City. They're still working at Veselka. By the way, Pally's mom does plan to come back probably this fall, but she hadn't seen her family in so long, so she wanted to take a solid like 6 months. So the twins are still in the restaurant. They're English. Everybody's English is better. And then one of the really nice stories that just occurred, I think, 3 days ago. Dima and his wife had a baby girl. So the Veselka family is getting bigger by the day.